Any portrait of Consett in County Durham would show hardship, but also spirit and resilience. Fear of utter neglect, balanced with hope of some sort of regeneration. A town that was built on heavy industry has often seemed to have the odds stacked against it. Now, as the economic crisis closes in, could Consett once again be on the brink?
We get them to come into education, pass GCSEs, onto the Prince's Trust, and then where do they go after that?
The concerns and challenges being discussed by staff around the table at Consett YMCA are not so very different to those discussed around the cabinet table in Downing Street.
I used to always work, and now I'm never find work.
And it only takes a few minutes talking to the young people who volunteer for training and work here to get a sense of how badly they're affected.
I've applied for shops and said, oh no, I haven't got the skills. And even factories say that now.
Give me an idea for how many applications you reckon you've done.
Oh, well over 50. In the past 2 years I haven't been working. And I've handed my CV into every shop in Consett, so and out.
I put in for it and they turned around and said, oh, there's already been 30 people applying for this position.
A position doing what?
Packing food.
What do you think the situation will be in a year's time?
I think it'll be worse. It will be worse, I think.
But what would that mean?
Well, I'll probably end up just losing my house and all that if I don't get something fast.
At the Salvation Army Hall, they gave soup to the poorest of the community back in the 1920s. Nearly a century later, food parcels paid for by local people are increasingly in demand.
I think it's very difficult. If I look back probably 30 plus years ago when British Steel decided to close the works here, I think there was hope. There was a lot of government initiatives happening in that particular time, and people set their own businesses up, and the market was there. At this moment in time, I don't see any of that happening.
One of the things that marks Consett out is they know all about the effects of high unemployment here. This is one of the last remnants of the big British steel plant that shut down on this site, about 30 years ago. At that time, it felt like pretty much the whole town was being thrown out on the dole. As a result, soon after, Consett had one of the highest unemployment rates in Western Europe. But from that shattering blow, the town began to rebuild and enjoyed a mini-manufacturing boom in the early 90s.
We therefore recommend you avoid Phileas Fogg extra hot tortilla chips and stick to the cool ones, made with sour cream and aromatic spices and made in Medhamsley Road, Consett.
Phileas Fogg, owned now by United Biscuits, still employs locally.
I'm going to put Craig forward. Unfortunately, the ones weren't successful because...
But the recession took hold, and even those whose job it is to find vacancies for unemployed people admit it's an uphill struggle.
At the moment, I think, especially the factories and the industries up here, it's very quiet for this time of year. Well, I think a lot of our clients are enthusiastic. No, they want to work, and that's the sad thing about it. Yes, in the past, over the years, we've had people who don't want to work. I'm not going to tell any lies. But a lot of them, again, it's just frustration that they want to work and they're applying for vacancies every day. Even when they come into our centre, we do job search with them. Some of them do actually want to work. It's quite frustrating.
Many of the initiatives ministers are counting on, like the demolition of the old civic centre to make way for a flagship academy school building, do offer hope for the future. But what about now? The same goes for the much trumpeted Regional Growth Fund. Money specifically aimed at areas of highest unemployment like the North East, but where funds have been slow to come through.
Regional Growth Fund isn't the answer. There are other things we can do, there are other ways we can help them, but Regional Growth Fund is a long-term development plan. It's not going to meet short-term needs, and the difficulty that it is, it has built up an air of expectation, and that's going to take some time to deliver.
Ministers certainly talk the talk. 5,000 jobs, they say, for the North East under the Regional Growth Fund, but is that as good as it sounds? The government holds figures for how many of the 5,000 are likely to be new positions and how many are actually existing jobs that otherwise would have been lost. But the Department of Business won't release them. Our sense from speaking to some of the relevant businesses is that maybe only about half are new jobs. And then the other thing that's making people anxious is there is a significant squeeze on out-of-work benefits underway. Take the lack of jobs, take the revision of people's benefits entitlement. Either one of those alone would be difficult. Together, it is a really tough situation. In such a hostile environment, some see little alternative but to go it alone. Maxine Johnston, upon being made redundant from her public sector job, chose to set up a private business, Parties in a Box, from home.
Actually leaving work itself is a very scary thing, but the way I looked at it is it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be a positive thing. Change happens for a reason and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. So I felt like I had to take the opportunity, bull by the horns and motivate myself. And some days it is difficult because I'm on my own with just the dog. It is difficult to kind of motivate yourself, but in the main, it's okay.
Not many people here can afford to be optimistic though. Like so many areas where unemployment is biting, no one in Consett is under any illusion. The next few months, in fact, probably the next few years, will be a struggle. And realistically, it's not so much a struggle to move forward, it's a struggle just to stand still.